I think the way Korean content has won, it's because they're so authentic to what
Yes.
they do. Korean things are Korean. Korean things are not trying to be anything else. It's because I feel that the creators, the writers, the way they own their stories, the way they are celebrated, it's just gone global in the way it has.
Monika, welcome to Variety India. This is truly exciting to have this opportunity to sit and chat with you. I want to
Thank
start.
you, Tushar. I'm so happy we are doing this.
Yes, absolutely excited. I want to start by asking you, actually telling you that, often we hear this phrase that the Indian consumer is evolving fast. It's so difficult to keep pace with what he likes and what he doesn't like. But what's the Indian viewer telling you today that perhaps he didn't tell you 5 or 10 years back?
I think the Indian viewer is one of the most experimental and adventurous viewers in the world. We are so heterogeneous and diverse in our tastes. Our context determines what we have been exposed to, what our taste is. The settings in which we watch content also determine what we are watching at a certain time of the day or, a certain kind of mood. But over and above that, I think Indian consumers, Indian viewers are very, very experimental. So that for me, I think is something that is making them evolve very rapidly to what they consume, both local consumption, like our own stories, Indian stories that Indians love to watch, but also how they are watching Spanish, Korean, Japanese, German, French, English. Obviously, we have been one of the most defining markets for Hollywood content coming in, going across the world. So I think Indian consumers are evolving very rapidly with how much they are experimenting and watching.
In your observation, has there been an element of surprise that caught you off guard with this trait of an Indian viewer that you were like, oh, I didn't think that somebody would react to this title or perhaps the series or a film in this way because I never thought it when I was greenlighting it. Anything that has come across?
I won't think about India because that's not an example that comes to my mind because we are so attuned to our audiences.
Sure.
And we try to be. But I remember I was surprised on Dark and how Dark as a German series did so well. It was such a complex series. And I think that speaks to how the Indian viewer is so open and welcoming. If you give them something which is very well made and exposes them to something different, there is a taste for it, just as there is taste for something which is simple and very wide and can be enjoyed by everyone.
You mentioned Dark, and I love the fact that I had a whole WhatsApp chat happening about Dark a while ago, and there's a huge Reddit thread that has blown up on how underrated the show is, how it's become cult, how it has found its own groove and space. Yeah. And back in the day when somebody must have decided to make Dark, nobody would have thought what it would go out to become, right? And there are several other titles like these, right? Does that really give you that sense of joy, that it's such a great joy for a filmmaker or for talent to then watch this become this big thing?
No, absolutely. And actually, as we were saying, I suddenly remembered that Kora was one such show, where it's so specific. It was so much in Punjabi. It's got a mood and a pace to it, which is so involved.
Yeah.
And it's not everybody's taste. But the way Sudeep, Gunjit and Diggy just brought it together and what it meant, it surprises me that so many people instantly loved it. And we're coming out with season 2 of it very soon. Again, it's a story which is a mood. And yet, when I see it, I just know that people are going to love it because Indian audience is like that. If you give them something which feels really authentic, they just pick it up.
Yeah, I think authenticity is such a common thread, in terms of just how we respond to what we watch. You mentioned Kora, but if I had to ask you, what are some of the homegrown shows or titles or films that you think have really worked for you? That you were like, oh, this really sort of stayed, it had legs and it really sort of broke norms or new grounds in terms of viewership?
Actually, now when I look back, it's been a few years since we've been programming. There are many that come to my mind, like Mamla Legal Hai was a complete experiment. A lot of people actually said, but why would Netflix do something which is set in Patparganj court and, it's not Netflix. There's this thing that this is not Netflix or that is not Netflix. Actually, Netflix is everything that the audiences love, want to watch, and also what they're not expecting us to do. We like to surprise and delight. So whether it's something like a single papa, most people think that elevated storytelling and just crime and dark, actually not. Kapil Sharma is the biggest example of that. Most people felt that, oh, now Kapil Sharma is coming on Netflix and now Netflix is not going to be Netflix. Netflix is more Netflix. I feel because we are Netflix is entertainment. It's making people happy. It's giving them different things to watch. That's why I often say that the Netflix DNA maps to the country's DNA. Our country is so diverse and heterogeneous in taste. Netflix is like an ocean. We have so many stories where we absolutely break that myth that something prestige and niche, there's a hierarchy in that content, and you can't have things which are loved by many, are more mainstream, broad, and are not elevated in their craft. There's nothing like that. So we program from the absolute one end to the other end, from documentaries to experimenting with new reality formats. Those guilty pleasure follow reality series like Bollywood Wives was one. This year we have Desi Bling, which is going to be a very juicy, saucy series on the NRIs in Dubai. So I feel that there is everything that has the potential to entertain, to be thought-provoking, to make you experience something new. All of that actually comes together in storytelling, and Netflix is all of that.
You made such an interesting point to me. It sort of took me back in time to this chat that I was having with a bunch of my friends who are writers, and they would constantly keep throwing this line that this is not Netflix. They will say no to this. This is not Netflix. Netflix is so niche. And I hear you absolutely going against that tide, wanting to tell me that, listen, we are everything. We are all encompassing. But then how does one, do you feel that there is this notion that you guys are sort of elite in that sense of you will not look at something that is perhaps from an unknown writer, somebody who's not had any work, a story that is perhaps set, not, I wouldn't say hinterland, but perhaps a story that somebody would not respond to during a narration. How does one then break all of these prejudices perhaps that are associated with Netflix and navigate?
I'm so glad you're actually using the word prejudices, because there is a certain thought process or a preconceived notion that Netflix, because of the global brand that we are and the way we program across the world, that in India also we would do things similarly. The greatest truth about Netflix and the reason why Netflix has continued to grow and become, the leading streaming brand is because in every country, we belong to that country. We are from that country. The teams are local. The partnership with creative community is that close and that collaborative. And the stories have to smell India, right? They have to be of India, from India. And our journey over the last decade has been from experimentation to actually coming closer and closer to our audiences, to listening, to learning, to constantly iterating, because entertainment is about hits and misses.
Sure.
So you have to be prepared to learn, you have to be prepared to be bold, you have to sometimes and oftentimes actually you have to get your creators to be equally risky. So a lot of times we say no to things not because we don't like them. Every story is unique and the way a creator thinks, but we feel that we can actually push the envelope. We can do so much more. So many times you'll hear that, oh, Netflix is very involved and they are, they have an opinion and they, are a part of the process. It's because we want to bring the learnings that we have from the way audiences are watching, because audiences have agency today. It's not just critics. It's audiences have the real agency, and we are learning from around the world. We are learning from India, and we want our creators to actually come closer to their audiences. We are the bridge between them. So betting on, great ideas, getting our creators to understand you can get more ambitious. This is Netflix. Let's make it bigger. Let's imagine what is beyond anyone's wildest, sort of thought. For instance, Operation Safed Sagar, is one such story where new creators, Abhijit, Kushal, Mehboob, they're new creators. They haven't made a story which is, either of the scale or anywhere close to it. But they had a brilliant idea on a real mission of the Air Force.
Yeah.
And we sort of rallied around and we said, let's put a great team together. India needs the new talented voices to come out. And we've done our biggest bet of the year on a whole bunch of new talented creators. And that's when, we are also able to demonstrate that we are in it for the idea and we are in it for the journey. And the outcome is up to the audience.
I love the fact that you said that creators also need to take equal risk. It's so very important, right? How do you respond to then creators or sometimes producers saying that the Netflix mandate keeps shifting? Today it's this, then tomorrow it could be that. Perhaps we are confused or we don't know in terms of what palette do we present?
I think audience is evolving so fast. We are a service. We will never stay static and we should not stay static. We are here to keep doing new things, but that doesn't mean ideas have to, there is no mandate to begin with. We are not a bank or a sort of digital transaction company. We are a storytelling sort of home, and we want the best stories from cinema to come and be taken to the world. We have about nearly 800 films which we've taken all over the world from theatrical cinema. We have programmed 200 plus originals titles from the time we came as series, films, unscripted. So I think for us, what is most important is that we are constantly innovating. That's the only truth. And we are challenging ourselves and we are challenging our creative ecosystem to do best by the audiences. Because the audiences deserve the best stories coming out of India. Because when they see the best from world over on Netflix, how can we as Team India and as a creative ecosystem not present the best stories that we can proudly take to the world?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So then today when you are greenlighting a show or saying yes to a title, what's at the forefront? What comes first? Is it culture, the conversation or consumption, numbers? What's the one thing that will make you say yes? What's the box that will tick for you? Or could be multiple things?
Hands down, the power of the story, how it touches you, and what's the vision of the creator.
Simple.
You can have a great idea, but you don't see the path to making it. But you can have a great idea and you can, the vision of the creator is so clear and you can enable the path to making it. So I think at the end of the day, it's the idea, the vision, the passion and resources that we can bring to it, and how can we do the best by our audiences. We don't think of budgets when we are evaluating an idea. First, we evaluate the idea. Then you think that, this is going to have this size of an audience, or that this kind of an idea can only be done at this scale and it's going to be so thrilling. Don't even think of the size of the audience. It'll find its audience.
Are there any examples that come to your mind when you say this? That you're like, okay, for example, this title really sort of, at the onset when we were talking about it, it was this, and then obviously the way audience responded or what it then became was something totally different. Nobody could imagine.
See, there are many such ideas when you look, especially when we do the really big projects that we do, whether it's a Hira Mandi, it's an Operation Safed Sagar, it's a Taskari.
Correct.
Taskari was one such show where you can shoot at the airports, but what's the ambition you have? How do you put a story of smuggling across the world from different countries together? And what do you do? It can either it could have been done in a film format, but it has to be done in an immersive, big format, a creator like Neeraj Pandey thinking a certain way, wanting to mount it a certain way. And our job is to really understand what the creator wants to do. Same thing with Chamkila.
Yes.
Only half the film was on the page. The film was in Imtiaz's mind and he said he will find his way through the film. And Neeraj knew that he's going to have to shoot a lot of little pieces everywhere, and those pieces have to come together in a certain way. So a lot of times when you lean into an idea, you have to be excited by it. You have to be able to be that executive who's partnering on that idea and, that creative producer in your mind who's able to actually walk that journey with the creator and to take it right from its inception to when it goes out into the audience.
Oh, that's a great thought. Tell me, how does one decide which creative risks deserve patience, especially when early data could be weak or when the cultural conversation hasn't finished yet? You don't really want to respond in your first 5 days or in that week. You're like, this has long legs. I want people to watch more, respond better. How does that system work?
You know, we are very patient as Netflix on this. We are very impatient when we are making. The pace at which we make is very rapid. We don't like to sit and just do less things. We know that audiences have different tastes and different audiences want different things. This means two things. They love volume. We like to have quality benchmarks with a lot of volume, a lot of cadence, many things coming. I know I'm using words which sound cold and very theoretical when I say volume and cadence, but really in the audience terms, it means that I like to watch many things. I like to watch many different things. I have different moods. Today I'm watching crime. Tomorrow I want to watch romance. I want to laugh a little. So when we are making things, we are very impatient because we like to work at speed.
Sure.
And make many things. But when we release things, we are very patient because we know that audiences experience stories in different ways. When you go to the theater, the first weekend tells you everything.
Yeah.
When you come on streaming, the day something drops, it's day zero. It's absolute day zero from there where you build. And more people getting to know, more people discovering, more people talking to each other, word of mouth picks up. You can map social conversations and you realize that so many people are suddenly talking about it. Like Taskari is going viral. People are dropping clips. On WhatsApp groups you're hearing. Like so many WhatsApp groups were talking about single papa.
Yes,
That
has happened with me as well.
Children and parents were uploading reels, and we knew that Delhi Crime Season 3 or that Bads of Bollywood, and something that we call the Netflix effect, which is when you break that threshold and you become a part of the zeitgeist. And you define what people are going to talk, like Hira Mandi, the kind of videos people were uploading, how they were dressing up. And for some time, even corporate videos were coming in Hira Mandi dialogues.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
That was a completely
and
different...
And the Chamkila,
yes.
And a lot of such things. So all of this happens when you're patient and you allow people to discover, you allow people to experience.
When you get that rare time to step away from work, what do you really watch? Like what's on your most watched? What's the algorithm that will show up? And are you a sampler or a binge loyalist? Tell me honestly.
Okay, so you're going to call me very boring, but I'm an absolute and utter news buff. I like to know what's happening in the world. It informs me as a creative person, what the news is, wherever I am, whether it's global, local, how people behave. I've been a journalist in my past life. I like to know things. And my way of creative expression is when I feel something. So I like to watch a lot of stuff and things that really touch me, that make me feel, even when I'm reading a script or I'm watching. So those are the things that work best for me. So of course I love series. I absolutely love series. But like over the holidays, I binged on a lot of movies because I really want to understand what's happening with movies around the world, what is shifting, what is changing. We are seeing a definite shift. Like series are in a moment where you know what makes for an amazing series and what's immersive, and franchises are being built. We are making so many. Films are going through a moment where people are, either watching too much short format or long format. And certain kinds of films are doing better. Many kinds of films, people are confused why they're not doing well. I did a binge series thing, a films thing. I love watching films. Documentaries are my go-to a lot of times. I'm actually a mixed bag of things. A lot of it comes as a consumer, but a lot as a creative person also, wanting to just experience everything.
Has your personal viewing instinct ever perhaps shaped or influenced a decision you made in terms of a title? And how does one then keep the gap? Or is that something that's the ecosystem is so...
It's a balance because you need instinct. You definitely need instinct. You need to have your ear to the ground. You need to know certain things that audiences will like or will be surprised by, will embrace. But you also need to be very mindful that you're not programming for yourself. Like, my taste cannot determine what a whole wide range of Indian audiences watch, or stories from India that a global audience watches. But my team has many different kinds of tastes. Then when we work with creators, they have many different kinds of tastes. As we put together crews, as we put together writers' rooms, we make sure that we balance all of that. Then when you're in the casting process also, something that you've written a certain way can actually become so much more wide the way you cast. So it's, it's a journey, and your ultimate goal has to be, what's the best for that story? And when you start thinking like that, and not that it's my idea or somebody else's take or somebody else's, that's not the way to do best by a project, versus actually just thinking, this is the story, the audience is there, what are they going to like, how can we make the best version of it?
I have to shift gears now and jump into the Korean content that has just taken over the world. Music, pop culture, movies, series, right? What do you think are the lessons we can learn from them? Or, I mean, I just feel like absolutely every time I watch them, they are just so disciplined in terms of starting and finish. It's just finesse all across, from the smallest character to clothes to the way they do dialogues, right? What is your understanding of why they've worked so well globally?
I think Korean content is the absolute benchmark. We all used to think that it's only the Hollywood content, but as we've experienced more, we've realized French cinema stands for something, Spanish stories stand for something, but Korean content, there's a reason why it's just gone global in the way it has. It's because I feel that the creators, the writers, the way they own their stories, the way they are celebrated, the way they work from end to end. Like, I remember we were in a session with director Huang, who's the creator of Squid Game, and I asked him this question: how did you know that the world would love to watch this, or did you even know, and what were the changes that you made to your story to actually adapt to a wide range of audience? And he said something very interesting. He said that for the last 6 years, I've just lived and breathed Squid Game. From writing to shooting to editing, the way they own it, and he's been on it, he's lived that. That's why it's become so big, because he really got into it. The passion that he brought to it across the 3 seasons, and also, how they reflect their society. They're not scared to touch very, bold sort of themes. Like Squid Game was on social inequality.
Yes.
The loans that people couldn't pay. It wasn't people on the margins of society. We would normally say that, oh, we can make an award-winning niche film on this subject. No. They made the most commercial and wide mainstream series with it. And I would also give credit to our Korea team, because director Huang was carrying this subject for 9 years with him. And there were, executives in Team Korea who saw the merit in it. It came to them as a film. They inspired him to make a series, and work together with it. He wanted to do only 1 season. They said, no, there is more life to your idea. So, really, the job of probably someone at Netflix in the creative team is also to see the potential of an idea, and to actually inspire the creator and back the creator to see the potential in their own idea of how big it could go. It's not just that vision. You can actually do bigger. We are here, and this could do, even more than you ever thought it could. So I think that collaboration, that passion, and that commitment to the ideas is something that Team Korea does, Team Spain does, Team India does. Everywhere, I think that is the chemistry that we like to bring. And I think the way Korean content has won, it's because they're so authentic to what they do. Korean things are Korean. Korean things are not trying to be anything else. And I think Indian stories also, there was a time when Indian stories were trying to be too international, but we have to be, the more Indian we are, the closer home we are. Because emotions are universal, but context is very authentic and local. And that's the combination that really makes people, experience something in the way that it's meant to be experienced. Because as humans, you and I are both curious, right? our curiosity will operate differently, but we are both curious. And when we experience somebody's context with that curiosity, somebody's story, their milieu, you can almost taste it.
Yeah.
That experience is the most precious one. And when you do that in stories, it really makes people travel, it makes people love, cry, experience.
I think staying authentic is so true. I mean, period. I think that's
Yeah.
the best experience one could get. I want to gently touch upon the fact that how your South Indian slate travels seamlessly. I think it's just brilliant. Just gets to show us that the languages that we speak, the stories that we have, the folklores that we celebrate, and the fact that Netflix celebrates all of this and more. Do you feel that your South Indian slate travels more seamlessly than the Hindi content, or you feel that there is really no comparison?
Actually, there's no difference, I would say. South of India has powerhouse creators. We've seen that they like to take very ambitious and bold bets in very different ways than Hindi cinema. Hindi cinema has also done very, very ambitious things, but I feel there is a slight difference, a more rawness to how things happen in the South storytelling and how close they are to the audiences. Like when I look at cinema in Hindi, who the audience is very specific to that story.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes very generic. But in South stories, they're very specific. There is more specificity when you look at how they tell their stories, the characters, the setting. But I think both stories travel, both languages, all languages actually now travel seamlessly on streaming. And not just within India, Tushar. Globally, we are seeing the way stories are traveling on Netflix. It's a joy to see when we look at the map of the world and how stories are traveling. They're lighting up new countries where you know that even the diaspora is probably not strong enough. So that really goes to show that we are at a moment in time where Indian stories are finding their own voice and more people are experiencing them. It's also because the Netflix platform, the product, is so well personalized that if people like crime stories and want to experience different crime stories or different drama stories from across the world, or Bollywood cinema is a category, then those are served to people across the world and they're able to discover them.
Yeah. I had a glimpse of your slate, AV, and I'm absolutely mind blown by that. I mean, I can't even fathom to imagine the pool of talent, the characters, the sight, sound and feel to it. It's outstanding. But what's the biggest joy for you when you left that room, when you watched it, when there's, apart from the sense of pride and the fact that you can't wait for the audience to watch all of this, right? What's different this year?
Actually, year on year, we are trying to do something different for our audiences. And I'm actually glad to report that we see how well it's working. Because people respond to it. We are seeing the conversations happen, the viewing happen. So this year, actually, I'm very excited about the slate because this year we are opening up new genres. We are doing many more formats on Netflix. And by formats, I mean that we are getting into the telenovela category. We are getting into captive reality, which we haven't tried before. And perhaps it might be one of the first captive reality formats across on Netflix globally. So we are trying to do that. So we are also trying to figure out how the platform will respond to it, not just the creative. So I feel very excited that we are programming in new spaces. A lot of new creators coming on to the service, a lot of seasoned creators. Like even our franchise of Lust Stories 3, look at the lineup of directors. Vikramaditya Motwane, Kiran Rao, Shakun Batra and Vishal Bhardwaj. Stories of intimacy and desire, being looked at in a very fresh and deeply human way. Ikka, which has the first ever, debut of Sunny Deol and Akshay Khanna on Netflix in an original film after 3 decades of Border One. Like, what could be more exciting than that in a courtroom drama? So they are not doing action. They are fighting on intellect. Very interesting. Then Anil Kapoor coming as a big tycoon on family business. It's a brilliant, drama on power and succession by Hansal Mehta and Abundancia. Operation Safed Sagar, I told you. Glory, which is a sports drama. Very thrilling sports drama by Karan Anshuman. Then Hum Hindustani, it's our film with Rahul Dholakia and MA Entertainment, which is on the, the first elections of India and the
Wow.
first, how did India become a democracy?
Wow.
That is what, is the story that we were so excited by. We're honoring a lot of heroes. We are doing a lot of emotional stories like Hello Bachchon. I cannot tell you how much I cry every time I watch a cut of Hello Bachchon. It just melts my heart, and it really makes me feel that, stories are so special. They have the power to change the world. They have a power to make us better versions of ourselves. And Hello Bachchon is about one teacher changing the world, and it's a true story. So you will see that. We have another teacher on the service, a Telugu series, Super Subbu, delightful, absolutely. And it's the director Malik Ram, who's known for his comedies. Legacy, which is a big series helmed by, in the lead role by Madhavan, and a great stellar cast. So we have such a huge range, and since we were speaking about Korea, we have Made in Korea, which is our cross-cultural...
Can't wait to watch that one.
Yes, it's a very sweet film. It's all heart. It's a journey of self-discovery across 2 countries. So a lot of really interesting stuff. Returning seasons, Mamla Legal Hai, which is coming back for its 2nd season. I'm very thrilled with that. Mismatch, which will have its closing season, season 4. Yes.
A lot of hearts are going to break.
I know. It's such a beautiful story. It's a cult YA romance, and but we have lots more. Musafir Cafe, which is going to be a very amazing story on the service. We are also working with many new creators like Terribly Tiny Tales, which has been so big on YouTube. On short format is coming with Musafir Cafe. TVF is coming with Hello Bachchon. We have, JD and Atish, who have delighted, the OGs who have delighted, India with Sarabhai versus Sarabhai. Khichdi Chumbak is coming, which is a story of community and neighborhoods. We have telenovelas coming. So Nilanjana Purkayastha, who's been the creator of Anupama, which has become the most defining show. So she's coming with a telenovela that she's adapting on Netflix. Ye Dil Sun Raha Hai, then lots of really exciting stories. Yeah, I can keep going on. And I also want to mention the theatrical films that are coming on this service. The biggest studios, the most iconic directors. Dhurandhar is coming on, 30th January. You will just see what the lineup of the films is from South, across languages, in Hindi cinema. So a lot of exciting stuff.
These titles that you've thrown at me and the images that are popping, the names that you just mentioned, it is truly exciting to be a content creator, be a creator, and to be able to be at the other end watching all of this. I can't think of a better time than to watch, right? It's the best time to have. When you put out a title or a series, right? Like you said, you and me might not be in the same page. We might agree to disagree. How do you respond to polarized reviews when titles come out? Or for that matter, the Royals in particular. And then the 2nd season is being announced. And then there is a whole chatter on, how different is it going to be from the first? Are things going to change? How does one respond to that?
I think when people like different things and talk about it, that's not bad at all. When they don't talk about it, that's actually a problem. So when they talk about it, they are actually watching. They are watching, they have opinions.
Yes.
Different camps are fighting with each other, what works for them, what doesn't. So I think indifference is the worst thing to a story. When people are involved and talking, and also, polarization in the right way, it's okay. So long as polarization is not mean and bad, and sometimes it does get that. But I think people are watching, and that's exciting. And the way we respond to it is, see, our job is simple. We are here to present the best stories. Different people will like different things, and people have to live with each other's tastes and enjoy. And a lot of people who actually don't say nice things are watching more.
I fully agree with this. I mean, you're only adding to numbers.
There is something called guilty pleasure viewing, hate viewing, all different kinds of viewing, involved viewing, loved viewing.
The reels on our phones will tell us that story. It's clear. As I wrap this up, I have to ask you, if a young Monika Shergill was pitching to Netflix today, would she get greenlit, or has the system become tougher on risk than when it began?
Wow, that's a mind-bending question. If I had to pitch to, first, I would actually have a lot of excitement about pitching. I would make sure that I'm very passionate and clear about what I'm pitching, and I would not let go. I would keep pitching till the cows come home, till they do something with me. So I would tell everyone, please, it's not about the first story, the second story. We are here to program so many stories. And it is not that a story is good or bad. A story is just a story, and it's good. All stories are good. Sometimes we are doing something already, or that we are looking at a certain kind of mix, or we want you to challenge yourself and come back more, or we feel that we may not be able to do justice to it. But please keep pitching, keep coming. I would keep pitching.
You would keep pitching. On that note, I think I'm truly excited to see what's up in store for Netflix in 2026. Stay tuned and keep watching Variety India.